All right. We have pretty exciting announcement for you today. There is a job opening at Austin Energy, and we will cover the updated cap, and also we share the new solar education course look. Then Valerie provides us some numbers and how we performed this quarter, and then David provides us with some notes about inspection and the pass rate. A few housekeeping notes. To help this meeting run smoothly, please mute your mic. And whenever it's possible, please direct your questions to the chat box. We will monitor chat box and make time to address your questions. However, if you prefer to ask your question verbally, please wait until the designated question slide after each section. A few notes about wait times right now. We are currently at about 1 to 2 weeks from the time you submit the application to LOI. Inspection are at 1 week wait time, and the final document registration review come in, and the final payment to your customer is about 3 weeks. We will track this meeting attendance, and this meeting is mandatory for all contractors. So please listen up toward the end of the meeting, and we will give you a cue to sign in with your name and your company name in the chat box. This is how we record that you were present and get you moving along your registration. But please make sure to have your company name in the chat box, and don't assume that we know everybody's name. There are a lot of contractors in this program, and we appreciate your time and caring. All right, upcoming meetings. The next technical training is scheduled for Thursday, August 18, and is mandatory for the contractors to get on the list. And if you hired new technical employees, we do recommend these folks to attend the technical trainings, as it is a source of information and code updates. The next administrative meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 15th. That is mandatory for the new contractors to get on the list, and if you hired new employees that are likely to be processing applications or using the EECP to submit application, we highly recommend they attend administrative meeting as well. And the next general meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 20th. Well, all contractors, whether you are trying to get on the list or are already on the list, all are required to attend our general quarterly meeting. And as I mentioned this before, we record this meeting, and we send out the slides for all of these meetings for your reference. Also, please note that registering contractors must attend one technical and one administrative meeting to be eligible to get on the list. All right. A great opportunity has opened to join Austin Energy. Please share this opportunity with your team and anyone who might be interested in joining an awesome team. And please note that this job will be closed by July 27. We relaunched the solar education course, and it's now includes helpful tips and information to help customers make a well-informed decision shopping for solar. And we really aim to make it easy to navigate and easy to understand. So make sure to check it out here. The residential program guideline and customer agreement form has been updated. Special thanks to Val for working on these great updates. Please note that after August 1st, we no longer accept the old version of CAP. And as you can see, you can upload the new version of CAP from ECP. And we highlighted here in the slide where you can upload it. All right, any questions here? Hey, Nadia, I see you have you raised your hand. Go ahead and ask your question. I enabled your mic.
Will you be sending us a copy of the new application directly?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, you can either upload it from ECP, or I'll make sure to include that in the email that follow-up email that we will send out to contractors after this meeting.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, I'll pass the time to Valerie.
Thanks, Nafi. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. The general meeting is a time when we review our quarterly numbers. So Nafi, can you advance to the next slide? Thank you. As you guys may be aware, we have some kilowatt goals that drive our program each year. We're looking to get 7,000 kilowatts of residential, 5,000 kilowatts of commercial, and we have a budget corresponding to get there. You can see in the chart below that we have a large amount of unincentivized projects going through, and that we're falling a little bit short of our commercial and residential goals. Right now, this chart is based on what's installed. So we expect to see those commercial numbers go up this summer as more commercial projects are ready to request inspection. The data in this chart is based on request for inspection date. So we are, we're hoping to continue progressing along, but it does look like we'll probably fall short of our kilowatts installed goals. In a second here, I'll review, you guys may already be familiar with our programs. We have the commercial performance-based incentive, the commercial capacity-based incentive for small businesses and nonprofits. And then under our residential program, we've got the residential program most of you all participate in, and also a newly updated multifamily residential program as well. So I'll cover the basis of those, and hope that if they look like they'll help you reach any customers, that you'll avail yourself of them. But at this time too, and Nafi, I do see someone's hand is still raised, but I wanted to open up the floor. Sorry, thank you. Wanted to open up the floor too if contractors wanted to share their experiences. We are interested in designing the program in ways that help us meet our goals. There have been times in the past where we had like a solar incentive boost. That's probably not going to happen this time around, so I'll just put that out there up front. But we are interested to hear about any pain points that you guys have, and your feedback is integral to helping us make this program better. If so, at this time, I'd like to open up the floor if anyone has any comments on on how business is going and how interacting with their program is going. Summertime crickets. Okay, well, let's review our program in the next slides. So we have a residential program serving residential meters. This is the program y'all are probably most familiar with. It's designed to serve primarily homeowners, home builders. If you're building single family properties, and developers also, you can use this program. The multifamily program, we've revamped a little bit, increased the rebate recently, with capping at $2,500 per unit, and $1 per watt for nonprofits. And the commercial programs, we'll review the rates below, but they serve anything with a commercial meter. So multifamily housing that's master metered, and of course, nonprofits, businesses of any size. We've done a lot recently to expand that program, both on the smaller end and the larger end. Next slide. So you guys are already aware of our residential program serving system sizes above 3 kW. And then the multifamily program can also be available if there's more than one property on the premise. Then it can serve systems even smaller than 3 kW. We don't have a lower limit there. With a per watt rate, 60 cents per watt, we offer 100 cents per watt, or sorry, 100 cents. We offer $1 per watt if the customer is not able to use the federal tax credit. And let's go ahead to our next slide. So our commercial CBI and PBI slides. Many of you have probably already seen this slide before, but just a refresher, for nonprofits and for small businesses, meaning that's not related to the business size, that's related to the system size. So for any systems under 75 kW, they can get a capacity-based incentive, which means that we will write them a check after the system is installed. We are, supporting up to $481,000 for rebates up for nonprofits. They can actually exceed the 75 kW size. They can be whatever size that they need to be. And then for for-profits, we'll cap that upfront rebate at $54,000. We also want to support larger systems. So we have our medium, large, and extra large. There's no cap for system size. There's also no customer cap. So in a previous program, an individual customer could only receive so much rebate money. But now we've removed that cap. So we're trying to support larger systems as well. That performance-based incentive is paid as credit to the bill, much like the VOS. It's paid in addition to the VOS, and it lasts for 5 years. Previously, we had a 10-year program. Next slide. Yeah, so if you do have any questions, do please raise your hand. Happy to discuss. And if not, I will send you all over to David. Thank you, Nafi.
Good morning, everybody. So I'll go ahead and give you a few updates from the inspections and permitting side of things. So starting with the overall inspection pass rate across all contractors for last quarter, running from April to June of this year. The overall inspection pass rate was 72%, which was a significant improvement over the previous quarter, which was 59% pass rate across all projects. So we really appreciate the additional efforts that you all have put in to adhere to the interconnection requirements that we have, as well as working very smoothly with our inspectors to meet the suggestions, the requests that they've put forth to you at inspections as well. I know we've had an uptick in partially passed inspections, so that has been a significant help in terms of getting the pass rate up too. So yeah, just make sure, generally speaking, that the entire system is ready at the time you request inspection, and things are likely to go better the day of the inspection. Just a reminder, though, our rebate program rule regarding the inspection pass rate, which you'll find in our contractor handbook, is that you have to maintain that inspection pass rate of 70% or higher. And so we evaluate that on a quarterly basis. So if you have a minimum 4 inspections over the course of the quarter, 4 solar final inspections, and you are below that 70% pass rate, then you will receive a formal warning from our rebate program. And if your pass rate remains below 70% in the subsequent quarter, that will leave your company subject to suspension from the rebate program for a temporary period. We take the quality of the installations on our grid very seriously, and the quality of the customer experience that relates to the quality of the installation as well. So just something to continue to be aware of. We are, reviewing those pass rates right on a quarterly basis and continuing to send out warnings and/or suspensions as necessary to those contractors that are underperforming this particular requirement. A reminder that the pass rate calculation includes all final inspections that involve solar, so they do not include energy storage only inspections, and also do not include any non-final inspections like rough inspections, pre-wire, meter checks, or so things of that nature. But it does include all solar and energy storage combo inspections, and as well all inspections that are failed due to no-shows or late cancellations. So again, as a reminder to those of you who know, and info to those of you who don't, we do have a late cancellation policy that you need to let us know at least 24 hours in advance that your inspection has to be canceled for whatever reason. If it's canceled less than 24 hours in advance, we do reserve the right to fail that inspection, mainly because it doesn't leave us time to use that slot for somebody else. We're trying to make it efficient use of our time and resources for our inspections program. All right, let's go to the next slide and see what we've got there. I think we've got some inspection related reminders here. Some of this, well, most of this I'm sure you've heard before, but we do want to provide these reminders as always, just to make sure that things can go as smoothly, both administratively and out in the field when it comes to inspection time. So just as a reminder, this should be simple enough, but please do not request your inspection before you are ready. So in the case that you were planning to submit your inspection request and then go out to QC your system and walk the job to make sure you're ready after submitting the inspection request, please make sure not to do it that way. We're scheduling inspections very quickly these days. As Nafi mentioned earlier, our wait time is about a week or even less right now. So at this point, I'm essentially able to schedule inspections practically on the day that they're requested for a few days out. So that reduces any time you would have to make corrections between the time of the request and the time of the inspection. So make sure that any corrections you need to make are caught and repaired before the time you actually submit the request. And likewise, make sure that any of those repair or upgrade electrical permits that you've pulled for your projects are fully closed out by the city inspectors before you submit that final inspection request for solar and/or energy storage. Regarding energy storage, we sent out this memo a couple months ago, but just as a reminder, make sure that For energy storage projects, A, that you have engineer stamped plans for them, and B, that if you are installing batteries inside the garage, that you install the UL listed heat detector that we are requiring. That section R328 of the IRC requires, that is, and also that you're installing bollards in front of the batteries in order to prevent vehicle impact on those batteries. That's for both side walls and front walls. And just note that the bollards do not have to be in a permanent foundation. You can use drop-in anchors or more temporary installation construction measures of that type. But the general rule is we do want one bollard per battery, as long as the batteries are, separately installed. So if they're stacked on the wall, that would be fine to just have one bollard. But if there's, two separate columns of batteries, for instance, we would want one bollard in front of each of those battery stacks, just to make sure that they're properly protected from vehicle impact. And if you have any more questions about ESS installation, always feel free to email solarinspections@austinenergy.com, or you can email me directly at my personal address, or you can call any of our solar inspectors so that they can provide you more feedback on the code and what it requires with regard to energy storage installations. They've also reminded me that when installing energy storage, it needs to be given the proper clearance from any points of egress around the building. So it has to be installed a certain distance, i.e. minimum of 3 feet away from doors and windows. So any of those points of egress from the buildings for code and fire safety measures. So that is also an important thing to remember. Also remember that, I want to specify when plans should be engineer stamped as well, because I've gotten a couple of questions about this recently. So the essential rule of thumb is that if the panels are not going to be mounted parallel to the existing roof surface, so for instance, if they're going to be built on tilt-up racking, or if they're going to extend past the existing edges of the roof, and if they're going to be built on a new structure, for instance, any ground mount systems or systems built on, new carports or the like, if any of those situations apply, then you will need engineer stamped plans for your system. So if it's not a traditional parallel to the roof within the existing roof line type of project, anything other than that, we'll need to see engineer stamped plans at the final inspection. Also, anything built on a new structure is going to require a building permit in addition to the electrical permit that we always require. In addition, if you're using solar roof tiles, this applies to a very small number of cases, but if you are using those solar roof tiles, those projects require a building permit as well. Again, feel free to reach out to me at solarinspections@austinenergy.com if you have more questions about the exact processes for permitting and documentation of those projects. Also remember that I have a reminder from our inspectors to please take adequate photos of any conduit that runs through the attic prior to inspection. Our inspectors usually won't want to ask for the homeowner's permission to go in there unless it's absolutely necessary, because we try to conduct these inspections primarily outside the house when possible. So it's very helpful to the inspectors if you have carefully taken photos of that conduit run in the attic beforehand so that our inspectors can look at it when it comes to inspection. And also, as a reminder, this is from an administrative standpoint. So when you go to request that inspection through the web form on our site, please also go into EECP simultaneously and make sure that you are processing the installation step in the EECP enrollment. Because if that installation step remains open after the final inspection is passed, it is going to delay the processing of the customer's rebate, and we certainly don't want that to be delayed because the proper documentation hasn't been uploaded to EECP. So when you submit the inspection request to us, we expect that at the same time you'll also do the following listed here at the bottom, that you'll upload the final invoice for the project to EECP. So that has the final system measures and line item costs, as well as the customer's signature acknowledging what the final installation measures were, including number of make and model of the modules, make and model of the inverters, and how many of each there were, as well as any other as battery costs that if you want to itemize those. But at the minimum, the final invoice needs to include those pieces of information. Make sure that once you've uploaded that final invoice to the EECP documents tab that you're going to update the measures in EECP at that time, if anything changed between the initial application step and the end of the installation process. And once you've done those things, you'll want to answer the inspection questions in EECP and the installation step to make sure that you're acknowledging that you've requested the inspection. And then you'll fill in the actual visit date field and click process on that installation step. So usually, most of the time, y'all are very good about having that installation step closed before we schedule that final inspection. But I do find instances where that step is still open after the final inspection is passed. So we just want to minimize the occurrence of that. All right, we'll move on to the next slide. All right, and I believe this is the last update from me today, but just as a major note to y'all, the permit portal is going to be updating on August 1st. I know we've been through this a couple times before with when the city has tried to update the permit portal twice last year, and that it did not go as planned. We are certainly hoping that it goes as planned this time, although I can make no promises in that regard. But just to let you know, because the system is being upgraded on Monday the 1st, the system is going to be down essentially starting the evening of July 28th. The permitting department is going to shut down its operations database to prepare for that upgrade. So that means most of its permitting related services are going to be unavailable during that period of, Friday through Sunday of that week. So city inspectors will only be conducting emergency inspections during that downtime period. It won't affect our solar inspections because we run on a different platform right now for requests and scheduling, but for any city inspections that you need, if you do need to request an emergency inspection during that short period between the basically the 29th and August 1st, please go ahead and contact your assigned city inspector, or you can contact this email address here at the bottom. But we're hoping that this will lead to improvements both in the overall look and feel of the permit portal and in the ease of processing your permit applications and payments. We are not in control of the portal design, but I certainly hope for all of your sake that you find that the new portal is an improvement over the existing status quo. Omar, I see your question here in the chat. Solar inspections at austinenergy.com, and I'll throw that in the chat in a second as well. But that is the email address if you have any ESS installation questions that you would like to ask. And also just another note, I mentioned taking photos of conduit in the attic. The inspectors have also asked to please make sure that you take a few photos of the array as well, if the array is not going to be visible from the ground. So any cases where it is higher off the ground than our inspectors are able to see, it's always helpful to have a few pictures of the arrays as well, so they can look those over with your electrician. And just a reminder as well that whenever you come out to inspection, you'll want to have your electrical contractor's license number on your vehicle where possible. All things that our inspectors have mentioned, I should remind you, always good to know whenever you're showing up for inspections. All right, I think let's go to the next slide, but I'm pretty sure that's it for this section. All right, and does anybody have any questions about the inspections piece? If you do, feel free to pop them in the chat and I can answer them at the end of the meeting. These last few slides are to provide you contact information for both our programs and for key groups, other groups within Austin Energy that may be involved in your installation process. So if we go to the next slide, we'll see a few quick go links for different solar programs that we have available. So if you need quick information on any of these solar programs and processes, just use these links here. And then the next two slides, which most of you all are familiar seeing these, we'll have our contact information for all the different groups that may be involved that you may need to contact during your project. So for instance, temporary disconnects, contact Austin Energy Dispatch. I've been getting some questions about the dispatch line lately. So the note I have on this is that if you dial that 505-7620 number, which I believe is the main number for scheduling disconnects, you'll want to select option 4 once you've dialed that number. You can also contact St. Elmo Distribution at austinenergy.com to schedule your temporary disconnect with Austin Energy. And that's for those of you who were not able to register for our new contractor disconnect program, which will be starting up shortly, I believe. Other contacts here requesting to have a meter seal cut, solar billing issues. If we go to the next slide, we'll see some other contact information on there as well that will be pertinent to your projects. So for instance, if you want to submit a DGPA for certain projects, the DGPA for systems that are 500 kW or more, I do have an update to that email address, so I will get that slide updated for you ASAP. So yes, these are the contact points that you'll have throughout the project, other than with our group, and that should be hopefully all you need to get you through. All right, and I believe that is it for our presentation.